Okay, that feels a little better. So, hey, I got a new microphone. If I sound a little bit squawkier than usual, it's because the entire Pacific Northwest is on fire and we're all currently breathing hickory smoked air. The sky outside is about the same shade of orange as Juno's butt. So, about 3 weeks ago, I had a mild seizure while I was at work. I'm fine, but it was still kind of embarrassing and upsetting. When I have a seizure, it's not like a violent series of involuntary muscle spasms. It's more like twitchy hands, uncontrollable nodding. Honestly, if you put headphones on me, I'd probably look like Data trying to imitate human enjoyment of music. EMTs were called and they checked me out and they pronounced me fine. I don't know if the EMTs being sexy makes it better or worse. On the one hand, it's hot dudes coming to your rescue, but on the other, they're seeing you when you're at your most vulnerable. In my case, it was being shaky and lying down on a dirty concrete floor. So the next day, I decided to take the day off because I wasn't feeling 100%. A couple hours later, my boss called me back and told me that she'd spoken to human resources and I needed to be able to provide a doctor's note saying that I was okay to come back to work. Now, I'm from a big blue collar family. We don't call the doctor unless somebody's dying. The walk in clinic wasn't able to see me because I wasn't actively in medical distress. If I wanted to get my medical clearance as soon as possible, that I should just go ahead and go to the emergency room. I gotta say, there is nothing that makes you feel like an quite like going to the emergency room when you don't have an actual emergency. I saw a woman there who had her hand wrapped in a towel because she just sliced her fingers open. I saw a man there who was limping and had his foot propped up on top of a cooler, and I wondered, what's wrong with his foot? What's in the cooler? Does it have a toe? I can get you a toe. I figured it was going to be a while since I wasn't having a heart attack or in labor and I hadn't been shot. So I bought a book and some snacks and I settled in for the long haul. The snacks were gone by about hour two. I would not be a good contestant for Naked and Afraid. I'm just putting that out there. There was a doctor there who was wearing bright red scrubs, and of course, me being the twisted little crueler I am, I thought to myself, oh, that's nice. Red doesn't show the blood splatter. Eventually, I was moved into an examination room where I was seen by a doctor, and who else but the doctor in the bright red scrubs. I described my symptoms to him, and he said it sounded like a partial complete seizure and that they would run some tests, including a blood test and an EKG. It wasn't until about hour 5 into my visit that I got the bombshell. According to Washington state law, if you have a seizure, you are not allowed to drive for 6 months. If you've never been to Washington, not every place is like Seattle. I live up on the peninsula in the middle of West goddamn nowhere. So, needless to say, I was pretty pissed and sad, but mostly I was just trying not to freak the fuck out at my sudden loss of independence. Having to cry in a public place without anybody to comfort you is about as bad as trying to have diarrhea quietly in a public bathroom. So I got my letter, I got discharged, and a friend of mine was nice enough to give me a ride home and take me to Jack in the Box. In addition to not being able to drive for 6 months, the doctor strongly recommended that I not climb any ladders, go swimming, ride a bike, or even take a bath alone in my house. These measures feel kind of extreme given how mild my seizure actually was, but I know that my doctor's just looking out for me, trying to make sure that I don't crack my head open and drown and die. Maybe I could get a sexy bathtub lifeguard. That would be good for me, I think. I haven't had seizures all my life, and they happen so infrequently that I don't really think about them. But I'm an adult, chronologically speaking, so I know by now that not acknowledging a problem doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. In the early 2000s, I suffered a traumatic brain injury when I was on my way home from a job interview. I was making a left-hand turn into a blind intersection and I ended up getting T-boned driver's side door by a dump truck. My father's truck spun around twice, and needless to say, it was completely totaled. They had to use the jaws of life to cut me out. I don't remember any of this because I was knocked unconscious. I ended up surviving the crash with some deep bruising, a mild concussion, and 8 stitches in my elbow from when my arm went through the window. You can kind of still see the scar. So my short-term memory is kind of crap. My long-term memory feels a lot like a book that has a bunch of pages ripped out, and I often have trouble coming to the end of a sentence. But given how easily I could have died that day, I've just come to accept those and other problems that I have as part of my personality. It's a part of me I don't particularly like very much, but it is a part of me. The seizures could just be some of my old head trauma catching back up with me. I won't know until I see a doctor, which won't be for another few weeks. Now, I understand that I'm just one of many people who are on the road, and that the state has an obligation to protect other drivers, and it's not all about me. But at the same time, not being able to drive just makes me feel like I'm both a criminal and an invalid. I'm very independent, so it's hard for me not to feel like I'm being punished for something that I literally have no control over. I will say, though, that not having any control does take some of the weight off of it. Ow, ow. I'm currently being gnawed upon by a cat. Love hurts. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I could stay mad, or I could accept it and find new ways to empower myself. There's no way out but through. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Butt bongos.